Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. Today I was going to answer a very simple question, and that is, how do I begin hooking? I got this question this morning from Karen. Shout out for a great idea for a video. Karen was saying, you know, just starting hooking, have my thing ready, have a kit ready to go. Where do I start on the image? So let's talk about that now. I'm probably going to just start with this is just like for a video, right? So I'm actually just going to cut up a little bit of t-shirt material, which I always have plenty of everything lying around. For the absolute beginner, just to reinforce and remind that you don't have to have this super expensive sort of wool inventory happening in your hobby room. If you are a very beginner and you're just thinking, I got a kit or I got a crochet hook and I'm ready to blow, show me what to do, that's what this video is about. So in a second, you're going to come around here and watch over my shoulder as I make decisions about what to hook first. So as I look at this image, right, this is a pattern of mine based on an antique pattern called Carousel Prim. I have got a horse at the gallop. He's got 3 stripes, very simple shapes. Most complicated moments probably where the ears overlap each other, where the legs overlap each other, and the very small eyeball. With a pattern like this, right, when I think to myself, what will I choose to hook first? It really is up to me. I always say in classes, some people are the puzzle makers of the world and they always want to start by hooking the border first. You can do that if you want. Some people like to fill in the background first. You can do that if you want. Some people want to choose whatever their favorite color in the kit is and start with that. Also fine. All of these things are fine. My point is there is no right way, right? Rug making does not work the same way that needle crafts do, like needlepoint, where if you don't hook it in a certain manner, it gets a weird diagonal twist. Rug making doesn't work like that. So I can choose where I want to start. With a piece like this, right, and we can all make different decisions and our pieces will end up technically all the same, right? Stylistically never the same, right? That's the beauty of the craft, but technically all the same. So for me, there's a big, vast background on Carousel Prim, and I'm probably just going to start with the background. Actually, I might want to start for myself in an area like this, and I always start by leaving my tail up, right? And I am in, I'm working on burlap right now. I'm going to come through here, and again, I'm working with t-shirt material. The reason I started with the background is because it's a great big background, and if I'm a beginner, I might want to nail some of the background where it doesn't really matter if my loops are perfect or whatever. For me, that never matters at all. But for a beginner, if you start in the background where you're all one color, you're not doing a lot of color changing, it's not a bad idea to get some traction going. Sorry, I'm on my frame, my Puritan that tips. It's not a bad idea to get some traction going so that you can practice some loops before you do the areas that are more fiddly. I just, on this pattern, identified the fiddly areas. And I'm hooking with t-shirt material, so some pieces are a little bit thicker than others. And I'm working in burlap, which can be a bit of a rougher background, but I do like it for its looseness. I've identified the areas in this pattern that I think would be the trickiest, with the smallest details and the most color changes. So for me as a beginner, I want to stay away from those areas at the very, very beginning, because I want to get some speed going. I want to get some experience pulling up loops happening. I want to practice before I do the parts of the piece that will be the hardest parts. I'm just going to finish off for the sake of, it is actually so fun to take a break from other stuff that I'm working on here. Do a little project like this to just fill in around the chin, right? Around the neck here, this little hollow part. And then once I fill in the background, and you don't have to fill in the whole background, right? I'm suggesting doing the background for a while until you feel more confident with doing the parts of the composition that are more sort of close details, lots of color changes, lots of stopping and starting, right? With the background, I can just practice for a while. And then once I feel like I'm more confident about doing the eye or doing the ears or even doing the shape of the horse, that'll be when I cut my loops the way I was going here, right? You just cut, stay on top if you can. Keep your tails on top. So I just cut, and I'm ready to choose what my next area would be, right? And if you're a very beginner, you might say, well, give me some time. I want to fill in much of the background before I start working on his little hooves and his little legs and his little stripes and all of that stuff. That makes a lot of sense. Practice for a while until you feel confident enough to be able to tackle the parts that are a bit more fiddly and will require a little bit more of a fine touch. Do you know what I mean? But the main thing is to get started and to get going and to remember there is no wrong starting or stopping place. It's a question of what makes the most sort of common sense when you look at the pattern. Where's your big area that you can work on for practice before you get into those weird little fiddly corners? I hope that helps, Karen. I will see you next time at Ribbon Candy Hooking.